everyone, welcome back to the I Should Totally Be Dead Right Now podcast, where we tell true stories of survivors of true crime, natural disasters, and everything else in between. How's it going, Michelle?
It's going awesome.
Great.
1, we have a kick-ass drink, and 2, I have a kick-ass story.
Oh!
So I'm hella excited.
I was like, double trouble? Is that...
Well, now.
This drink was actually a suggestion.
Oh, by Amy of Wisconsin
That's
fame,
right. That's
if I
right.
recall correctly.
Mm-hmm.
This is the pineapple upside down cake,
Mm-hmm.
and it does taste a lot of like, oh my god. Maybe I should not have had 3 of them /4, whatever. It does taste a lot like cake. I'm not even gonna try to say the whole fucking thing again.
Yeah.
Maybe you tell us what's in it, Caitlin, because
Sure
I
thing.
can't.
Well, Michelle made it, but Amy provided the recipe, so thank you, Amy. Yeah, so it's 2 ounces of pineapple juice, 2 ounces of, you're supposed to do cake vodka, but we had whipped vodka.
Yeah.
So, and it tastes the same pretty much.
Like, still delicious.
Yeah.
Still very drinkable.
Yeah. So 2 ounces of that, you shake it up with some ice in a shaker, pour it over a teaspoon of grenadine, and there you go.
Boom.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's
Pop
very,
a cherry in there, and
Yeah.
you're ready to go.
It's very pretty. It's very cute. It's very sweet, though.
Yeah, I
It's
feel
very
like I'm
sweet.
going to be hungover in about 2 hours.
Mm-hmm,
I have some more work to do today, but
Good luck.
yeah, it's going to be nap time.
Yeah,
instead.
Right? So thank you so much for the suggestion, Amy.
I
We
know.
appreciate it.
Once more, you nailed it.
Right?
God damn it, Amy.
I do love pineapple, so.
I
All
know. Pineapple upside down cake is like my mother's favorite cake
Oh, yeah?
of all time.
Oh, very
so
cool.
we always make it for her in the cast iron pan, you know,
Mhm.
where you melt the butter and the brown sugar and the pineapple and the whole thing.
Nick's grandparents and mom usually make that for me for my birthday. That's very
Aw,
cute.
It's yummy.
It is very tasty.
It's old school, but man, it's worth it.
Yeah.
I love it.
It is. Well, all right. I think.
You gonna kick us off with a kick-ass story?
Of course.
Is it gonna be as kick-ass as mine? Maybe. Probably not, but maybe.
You talk a big game, Michelle.
I know. You're gonna be like, what?
No, it's fine.
No. This, my story, I'm gonna get back to it for a second.
Okay.
It's a little close to my heart.
Oh, okay.
In a very kind of not really way. So, on to you, Caitlin.
This is just like last time.
I know. I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, that's okay.
Michelle, you're fired.
All right. This story is about Jakub Madej. And it is late May in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And Jakub is 20 years old and a native to Poland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He is actually traveling all over the world and is now in Johannesburg, Africa.
Oh, shoot. He's way in South Africa.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he's at a hostel this day, and a Russian man told him to be careful because he was robbed of all of his belongings, his wallet and passport. Like, just be careful. You know?
And he probably just recently watched Hostel, the movie.
Oh my gosh. That movie, it
That
traumatized
ruined
me.
European travel for me forever, I think.
It really... There's just some scenes, like, with his Achilles heel.
Oh.
Do you remember?
Yes, I know
Sorry,
exactly.
everyone. Ugh, okay. That always plays on my mind when I hear that.
Back to Jakub and his hostel.
Yeah. So Jakub, you know, listened and acknowledged, like, yeah, of course I'll be careful, but he still went on his way. He walked an hour and took a stroll in the business district of Johannesburg.
Okay.
So he was dressed in a white V-neck t-shirt and blue jeans. So nothing like, you know.
Out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
He was just chilling for
Yeah.
a chill day.
He was near the Carlton Center, which is a 50-story tall shopping center.
Oh.
So, populated place.
That sounds fun.
Mm-hmm. So, Jakub had all his belongings in a black leather bag, and he had his headphones in listening to a podcast. It was not ours, I checked, but...
Whatever. End of story.
But then he had an uneasy feeling, like something was not quite right. At this time now it's like 4 p.m. But then Jakub notices 4 men trailing behind him.
Oh, I don't love that.
And the men are about 10 meters away, which I don't know how
Okay.
many feet that is, so.
It's like 30 feet.
Okay, perfect. Thank
Like
you.
meters to feet, boom, I can make that conversion.
Okay.
I gotta do it all the time in my story.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
All my shit's in meters.
It's the way, apparently.
Yeah, for everyone except the U.S.
Yeah.
All right.
This situation seemed familiar to him because he was actually mugged 6 years ago in Poland.
Oh, shoot.
So he kind of
He has some experience with the nefarious side of crime.
So Jacob looked over his shoulder, and one of the men was actually charging at him now.
Ugh. That's scary.
He states, my instinct was that I should fight or something. He grabbed me by my t-shirt. There were 4 of them in total, and I was defenseless. So my instinct was to shout for help and try to knock him down to the ground. Unfortunately, he could not knock him down. But his adrenaline kicks in very quickly. So Jacob does not remember much of the interaction. It was kind of a blur.
He picked up a car and like threw it at him. Is that what happened?
So he tried to push the mugger off, is what he remembered, and tried to scream.
Ugh.
But no one came to help.
Everyone's probably like inside, like, oh, just keep looking down. This didn't happen.
Probably. So he was
probably like New York.
Yeah, right? So he was struggling with his first attacker, and then the next 3 approach. Then all of a sudden, he sees blood.
Oh, his own? Probably.
Yeah. He was bleeding profusely from his wrist and abdomen. He didn't even see a knife or feel being stabbed or cut, but he sure was.
Oh my gosh. Ugh.
Then all the men flee with only his headphones. He didn't even get his bag. Ugh. And so losing blood fast, Jacob knows that he has to do something or he would die of blood loss.
Seems like these guys, I mean, if you're looking at a per hour basis, you know, where they got a set of headphones, it's 4 dudes.
Yeah.
Are they going to split that maybe like $20 among all of them?
Yeah.
I mean, it just doesn't seem like a good investment of your time.
Yeah. Idiots.
Well put, Caitlin.
Thank you. So he started to panic and just started running in the streets with his shirt tied around his wrist. Because that's the one that was bleeding the most. Jacob ran up to dozens of people asking for an ambulance, but no one helped. Jacob was getting angry because he was literally dying, losing so much blood.
Everyone's like, no, sorry.
The only explanation that he heard was that people might have been afraid of helping because they thought that they would be accused of why he was bleeding.
Oh,
so
maybe.
I know, but after
Johannesburg is pretty rough, and my understanding is that it's pretty oppressive to some of the populations there.
That's
and
too
so
bad.
it's a pretty tough area, is my understanding.
Sad day. But after several minutes of running and shouting, Jacob's vision began to blur due to all the blood loss.
I was gonna say, is it because he's just dripping blood everywhere?
Yeah. So he sat down on a bench and slowly faded into unconsciousness. So now he's just unconscious on a bench.
Oh my god.
So now...
bleeding out.
Yeah. So now Lottie Arnold, a recent graduate of medical school, and her fiance, Malcolm Dreger, are taking a cab to lunch. And then they see Jacob slumped on a bench, bleeding. Malcolm nudges Lottie to go check to see if maybe she can offer some help. So there is now a crowd of people around him, and a police officer actually tells Lottie that help is coming. So she's like, okay, well, maybe I will take a look just to see if I can help while we wait for the ambulance to get here. So she lays Jacob on the pavement and rises his legs up to send more blood to his brain. And then she had other bystanders put pressure on his wounds.
My goodness, she's taking command of the scene.
So he comes to and sees Lottie helping him, and he asked her to write down his parents' number just in case they need it later. I know, right?
Oh my gosh.
But now, since he's awake, his mood has actually improved, and he regained his consciousness and vision.
Okay.
Jacob even started making jokes.
Hell yeah, Jacob.
Lottie was asking him questions to keep him awake and seeing if he knew what happened. He's like, yeah, of course I know what happened, and and he was asking,
like, it was those a-holes over there.
Yeah, he was asking people to tell him jokes, but no one did. But you know, he was trying to keep it going. It took 30 minutes for an ambulance to arrive.
Thank goodness for Lottie.
I know, seriously. So Lottie and Malcolm actually accompanied Jacob to the hospital.
Aww.
And they even stayed with him until he was able to check out.
Wow.
So Jacob underwent surgery and he survived. That is when they found out that his radial artery was actually cut, and that's a major artery in the arm.
Oh,
and
I was going to say, is that his wrist that was cut?
So if it was severely wounded, he would have bled out in minutes.
Oh.
So it looks like it just
got nicked.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, he got really lucky.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
He was in the hospital for 2 days. So Lottie and Malcolm were there for the 2 days.
Wow.
And this is where Stephanie Baker comes into play.
Okay.
So,
Welcome, Stephanie, to the story.
Stephanie Baker is also 20 years old, and she heard about the stabbing and actually knew Jacob.
Okay.
They were Facebook friends, and they knew each other when she was a counselor.
Oh.
So they were kind of like the acquaintances, like, I know you, you know, not like friends, but Facebook friends. You know what that means? Yeah.
I do know what that means. I have quite a few of those when I was on Facebook.
Right. So she actually lives in Johannesburg and offered him to live with her until he fully recovers.
Oh, my goodness.
I know. She could not imagine going through that, especially in a foreign country all by himself.
Yeah.
When Jacob was leaving the hospital, Stephanie was surprised of how optimistic he was.
Okay.
He talked about how friendly the staff was, and even the staff said if Stephanie didn't show up, they would take him home with them.
Probably Lottie and Malcolm would have. Is it Lottie and Malcolm? Do I have that right? Okay.
Even the nurses and doctors were apologizing of, you know, that this happened to him, and Johannesburg is actually not that bad, but
Jacob sounds like someone I want to hang out with.
I know, right? Stephanie states he kept on saying how well he had been treated and how he couldn't wait to come back to South Africa. Almost to the point where I thought, dude, do you realize you've been stabbed, or do you think that was a dream?
Do you understand what happened to you here?
But Jacob believes that this incident actually taught him more about human kindness.
Oh my God. You're amazing.
I know. He has such a positive outlook on everything that he was on his deathbed pretty much. And he's still like, everything's gonna be fine.
Amazing.
But Jacob actually, when he recovered, he actually continued on his travels. Went to Rwanda, then to Uganda, India, Singapore, Japan, South Korea, and then back to Poland.
I was like, wow, I forgot he was from Portland. No. Poland, sorry.
Back to Poland. And yeah, so he had no issues, you know, continuing on his travels, but dang.
I do wonder how much his optimism and happiness lent to his recovery.
Yeah.
I've read The Happiness Advantage, which is a really interesting book about when you're happy, you just see so many more opportunities around you than when you're sad. Like, you just plain don't see them when you're not feeling happy.
I could see that.
It's just really interesting. And they say people who are optimistic and happy tend to just bounce back from, you know, tragedies or whatever, you know, getting mugged in the middle of your travels.
Right.
You know, you're able to kind of come back from it much easier than people who are unhappy.
Just be happy.
Yeah, just God damn it. How hard is that? Fucking assholes.
As we're crying in the
I
corner.
know. I'm always fucking crying.
You know, I should try it more often. No, it's true. I feel like when you're in a good mood, like everything just seems...
Bop. Everything just sort of lines up for you.
I don't know. I have anxiety, so it's like, when can my mind rest? Actually, I don't know.
Never.
But...
No, they did an experiment that they talked about, and I apologize if I've talked about this already.
Oh.
But in that, they showed the control group. They didn't show them anything, and then they got a magazine, or it was like a newspaper, something like that.
Okay.
And they were just told to read through it.
Okay.
And then they showed people like a funny video, and then they were given the same newspaper to read through.
Okay.
And there was a huge freaking like advertisement in the middle. I mean, they made the newspaper, so it was there. It says, if you see this, we will give you $20. And only the people from the happy group saw it.
The control group?
No one in the control group who weren't shown the happy video before they were sent in to read this newspaper. None of them saw it. Only the people who, like, they watched a cat video or something stupid.
Well,
like,
of course.
something just
something
to make
stupid,
them.
Michelle.
I know. I apologize. Quite well said, Caitlin. Put me in my place. They watched a cat video and it was hilarious. And it just made them happy. And those were the people who saw the advertisement.
Interesting.
So it was just, so that was how they were trying to sort of show that happiness. You see more opportunities.
That's really interesting. Huh.
So be happy.
So be happy. There we go. But yeah, I mean, well, good job, Jacob, to keep optimistic and positive, and I'm glad it took 2 days, man. That's pretty
I know, for
incredible.
having sort of mortal wounds.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Ugh, poor thing.
All right.
All right,
On
Michelle.
to mortal wounds.
More.
More of them. All right.
Okay.
So I'm taking us back to May of 2015.
Okay.
So this story is about Doug April and his friend Ian Cappelle.
Mm-hmm.
Cappelle!
Oh, God. She brought it out.
I apologize. So Doug was finishing up a 6-month stint as a camp host in Hueco Tanks State Park.
Okay.
At this point, he's living by himself in an RV. He's a 46-year-old who's divorced, and he's got 3 kids, and his youngest is in junior high.
Okay.
At this point, he had served 2 tour of duties in Iraq.
Wow.
Where he saw plenty of things he wanted to forget. But what he did find that climbing, rock climbing, was a refuge for him.
Oh, okay.
Like, he could just go out and just concentrate on what was in front of him, on climbing up all these crazy rock faces, and could just sort of ignore all the other crap that was going on in his life.
Okay.
And so he just found a lot of peace in rock climbing. So Doug's time at the park was coming to a close. He had actually just left the Army 3 weeks earlier.
Oh, okay.
Retiring as a major, but he wasn't through with war zones. He was actually going to be headed back to Afghanistan in 3 months to fly some reconnaissance missions for a private military contractor. So he really wanted to make the most out of his days that he had left for climbing.
Oh, okay.
So he was just going to try to get in a lot of climbs.
A little self-therapy.
Yeah, exactly. Be able to shut the world off and just go be with nature. So around 8 a.m., Doug's climbing partner, Ian, pulled up to the campsite. Ian is a 38-year-old geologist who had just moved to El Paso with his wife, Melinda. While Ian was out climbing one day, he had actually met Doug. And so they sort of became buddies right away and had been climbing together ever since.
Sweet.
So Ian, who's burly and bearded.
Oh.
So, yeah. I don't know what that noise was, but I feel good about it. He didn't necessarily look the part of a climber, but as soon as he's tried rock climbing, he was hooked right away. So he regarded Doug as kind of a big brother, someone who helped him learn more about rock climbing. He was a much more experienced climber, and so he learned a lot from Doug. So he was just very thankful to have him along with him. So they were sort of like, what should we do today? Like, what specific climb should we go traverse?
Yeah.
So Ian was like, well, you've done indecent exposure a couple times, but I never have. And so I would like to do that.
Wait, what?
Yes.
Okay.
So indecent exposure is the name of this particular rock climbing adventure.
Okay.
And the reason they call it that is because while it's not the most difficult rock climbing in Hueco Tanks, it's probably the most intimidating. And that's because there's 2 areas in it where you rock climb out onto, like, they call it a pitch. But it's 2 sections where you have to go way out, and so you're hanging like above nothing.
Oh,
like it's sort of, the rock comes way out, and so you have to climb out on the rock. Does that make sense? So
yes, I believe so.
It's just way out, and there's nothing below you.
Right. Okay.
So
yes.
they're like 225 feet up. So it's just like just pure.
Yeah,
open
nothing.
air.
Okay.
So,
okay.
I.e. Michelle's worst nightmare.
I'm not rock climbing naked.
No.
Okay.
No. Well put, Caitlin.
Thank you.
Hey, we don't judge here.
We don't. No. I mean, hey.
So Doug kind of was like, actually, this particular climb, indecent exposure, gave him the heebie-jeebies. And it was just because of these 2 pitches that were way far out that left you just hanging over nothing.
Right.
But they decided to do it. And they knew it was going to be their last climb in a long time, so they wanted to make it a memorable one.
Oh, okay. I'm sure they did.
Yeah, they fucking nailed it. So the day was beautiful. The sun was just right. The breeze was perfect. So what they were going to do is Ian was going to lead the first half of the climb, and then Doug was going to lead the second half of the climb. Okay. Ian and Doug were tethered together and for safety, and they had 2 lines connecting them in which they would like belay the ropes, which I think is like sort of loosening it so you can go ahead.
Okay.
And, you know, when you belay down a hill, my understanding is you just sort of, that's when they sort of bounce down the hill with the ropes.
I see.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So, pretty end of story is they have harnesses that keep them together, and if one falls, it will break the fall.
Right.
So there are some safety measures. So Ian led the way. He clipped the rope onto the metal anchors that were actually already drilled into the rock. And so 20 minutes into the climb, they ended up seeing a memorial plaque for someone who had previously died on this exact climb. So they silently paid their respects and just kept moving.
Okay.
Kind of keeping that in mind, though.
Right.
It was just like,
dangerous still.
yeah, this is a dangerous climb. He made the ledge that marked the end of the pitch, and he attached himself to the neck anchor. And then Doug followed along, and then they paused there for a little bit of a moment's rest. So at this point, they're over 120 feet up in the
like
air.
halfway.
Yeah, and they're halfway through. They've already been over the first, like, exposed area.
I see.
So exposed area 1 down.
Okay.
So now Doug is going to take over the lead of the climb. So the hardest section of the climb really came early on. He had to make a huge step to his right, and followed by a few feet of slim fingertip toe edges where they really had to like cling on to the side of the rock and sort of make their way down. And then he was able to sort of jump down onto this big rock that was sitting there. They called it a big flake of a rock. About the size of a refrigerator.
Oh, okay.
So he's like, he lands after sort of jumping over this chasm, and he calls back and he's like, "That was awesome! You know, like, I just made this incredible jump.
Yeah.
You know, like, did you see? That was great. You know." So he's calling back, and then he's like, like slapping his neck. He's like, "Where did all these bugs come from?"
Oh.
And in the next moment, this swarm of bees comes up from underneath the rock that he had just landed on and just completely covers him.
Oh my gosh.
So the swarm enveloped him in an instant.
This is not where I thought it was going.
I know, we all thought he was going to fall
I
or
was
something.
waiting for a drop.
No. This is all about bees.
Ah!
So they were stinging him over and over and over, and he just said the pain was spreading across his neck and his face and over his whole body. So regular honeybees are pretty territorial. And in my experience, that's what I usually get stung by.
Right.
Is, you know, just baby honeybees.
Right.
Which fucking sucks enough.
Yeah.
But these were Africanized bees, which are much more aggressive. So actually, it turns out that these Africanized bees actually came from Brazil. They were produced down there so they could increase honey production. And they ended up getting out and making their way to the Americas.
Wow.
And here they are in Texas, and apparently this is a good spot for them. So when Africanized bees sense a threat, they don't just send out a couple bees like honeybees do.
Okay.
Like honeybees will send out a few sort of guards, and if they sting you, then yeah, you might be in trouble because they sort of send out a pheromone that says we need to attack this thing over here. But these Africanized bees just swarm. They just send hordes of bees out to attack whatever the threat is. And Doug was our threat.
So any threat, it's like, just send them all.
Yeah. Just send out half the hive. Yeah. We're going to, you know, because probably these hives have 40,000 or plus bees in them, you know. So he had thousands of bees just covering them all over.
Wow.
Since the 1950s, swarms of Africanized bees have been responsible for more than 1,000 deaths. And so that's why they're called killer bees.
Oh. Those are called killer bees, is the Africanized bees are the killer bees. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know why they're called Africanized. I think they were originally from Africa, and then the folks from Brazil brought them over.
I see.
I.e., very aggressive.
Right.
But create a lot of honey, so yay. The moment after the bees swarmed, Ian is like watching in horror, and he sees Doug like jump off the ledge, and he feels the jerk of the tension of the rope as Doug's weight like sort of hits the bottom of the rope that he had. So he just
out.
Went for it. And so he heard Doug yelling, lower me, lower me, lower me. Like, go,
Uh-huh.
go, go, go. And so Ian is trying to get as much rope out as he can.
Yeah.
So Doug can, like, get as far down. And it's just like the rope is just ripping through all of their pulleys. Like, as fast as it can.
Okay.
And then because Ian was sort of out on a perch a little bit,
Mhm.
Doug disappeared.
Oh,
Like, he went
him.
down and he couldn't tell where he went. And that's when Ian felt the first bee, sort of saw it come over, and he just figured if he maybe just stood still, that the bee would ignore him and just move on his way. And no, that was not the case.
Oh, gosh.
The first one just came at him, stung him in the neck, and then more came. Like,
Right,
and all of a sudden it was just like 1, 2, 3, 4, and he's just had all these stings all
because
at
when
once.
they sting, don't they give up a pheromone to, like...
Yep, that's exactly.
Okay.
It's like, you need to attack this thing over here.
Oh my gosh.
And so all Ian could do was try to cover his face, and all he could hear was this buzzing. Like this high-pitched whine that drowned out everything else. And the bees were attacking his ears and his nose and his mouth and just everything.
Oh my gosh.
So his mind was just like racing. Why was Doug still have tension on the rope? Why hadn't he like completely finished and so left the rope clear so he could start using that same rope to get down? But he realized that Doug was still hanging there and was just sort of like dead weight on the end of this rope. So Ian stood on this slim ledge and ended up trying to like suck water out of his climbing bottle, desperate to stay hydrated, which would sort of stave off the effects of the venom.
Oh, okay.
And he's just thinking, what do I do? What do I do? And so he tried to like reach up and brush the bees like off of his head. And he felt this sort of halo of insects that were an inch thick on him. So he was just completely covered in bees.
Okay.
And he's like, what do I do? Do I call my wife? Do I tell her I love her?
Yeah.
He's like, what if I drop the phone? I mean, it's just like pure craziness. And then all this time, the toxins are just coursing through his bloodstream. And at a certain point, sort of the panic stopped and he had this strange sense of calm.
Oh.
And, which is probably not a good sign.
Yeah, that's not good at all.
And he was like, all he could think of is how sorry he was that he was going to be leaving his wife this way. And so everything just sort of squeezed down to a pinprick and then he blacked out.
Oh my gosh.
So there he is. He's slumped on this rocky ledge, completely blacked out, covered in bees.
Holy cow.
So that's where we leave Ian.
Oh my gosh.
So now, let's get back to Doug.
Oh my gosh.
He is suspended in midair, if you recall.
Yeah.
He's about 6 feet away from the wall and about 60 feet from the ground.
Oh my gosh.
So
okay, so he's just dangling.
He's just dangling, and he's been stuck like that for about 10 minutes, and the bees this entire time have not stopped stinging him. So he's trying to yell up to Ian to untie the rope.
Yeah.
But as we know, Ian is now covered in bees and is slowly passing out.
Yeah.
So he couldn't hear anything.
Yeah.
And neither of them could hear really each other at
or
all.
see.
Yeah. Over all these frickin' bees everywhere. He said all they could hear was a deafening buzz. So after so many stings, Doug's body became numb to the pain.
Oh.
So I guess that's very good. He had bees climbing all over him, but at that point, stings hardly registered. And one flew into his mouth. He could sort of feel the vibratingness of it. But he said it had a slight floury taste, and he just spit it out. So I guess even after just a few stings, even after just a dozen stings, people can experience vertigo and nausea and even convulsions and fainting.
Holy cow.
And at this point, Doug had been stung hundreds of times.
Oh my god.
So he just pulled his ball cap over his face and tried to think of a way out. He's just like, I gotta come up with a plan. Doug had always been able to sort of keep his head in a bad situation.
Well, that's good.
He had crashed a helicopter before. He had seen men die in combat.
Jeez.
And no matter the danger, he was sort of able to flick a switch in his brain that says, I'm not feeling pain anymore. Or I'm not feeling fear anymore. I just need to figure out what needs to be done.
Okay.
So he had to figure out a way to get down.
Right.
That was clear. Where he was on the mountain, I guess there was quite a few ways that he could have gotten down. So he spotted an anchor that was part of another route and swung himself over. I'm sure it took more than one try to sort of get some momentum and actually be able to swing enough to be able to catch it. But he was able to catch the bolt, and so he was able to clip himself in, and he released the ropes that were attached to Ian, and he was able to leave some of the ropes dangling in the wind, and then had enough rope to actually get him down to the ground.
Oh, wow.
So this would have been difficult on a good day, and, you know, being covered in bee stings and fighting to save your life. It was a little bit harder, but he was able to pick his way down very carefully and really get him. It took him about 5 minutes to get down, but he said it felt like forever.
I'm sure.
By the time he made it down to the ground, he was nauseous and nearly delirious.
Oh my God.
He stumbled toward the road as a park ranger pulled up.
Oh, that's so lucky.
I know. It's like, oh, finally, a little something good goes for him.
Yeah.
And all he can say is Ian, as he's trying to, like, motion up to his poor friend who's, you know, passed out, covered in bees up above. So they started trying to call up to him. They were calling, Ian, Ian. Nothing. They don't see any.
So is movement. Doug, like, free of bees now, or?
It sounds like Doug is free of bees at this point. So they're calling up to him, and they're seeing that Ian is not moving. So Doug did the math. They had already called search and rescue, but they knew it was going to take at least an hour to get a team out there. Too much time. And he was just like, Ian doesn't have that much time.
Yeah.
So what does Doug do? He's like, fuck it. I got to go get him. It's got to be me. There's no one else.
It's got to be me.
And so he's like, take me back to my car. I've got more rope and gear there, and I'm going to go get Ian.
Oh my gosh. So he is delirious.
He doesn't know what's going on. Oh, so Doug, with all of his gear from his car, tries to scramble back up the rocks as fast as he can. So he took a different route that was like, it kind of took him up the back of the mountain, and then he was able to rappel down to Ian. Okay. So he had the park ranger's radio, as well as sort of a mesh net that went over his hat. So it's probably like a beekeeper's hat. That's
lucky to have.
Yeah, I think the ranger had it.
Okay.
Partway up the trail, he actually ran into 2 other climbing friends.
Oh, wow.
I guess Doug knows everyone on the mountain.
Apparently.
And he was just like, this is our rescue plan. You're going to help me. Yeah. And so now it's been about 45 minutes since the start of the bee attack. So Doug is feeling super, super nauseous. But it didn't even cross his mind one time to ask one of these other climbers that he's run into to go find Ian. Oh. It's just like, it's got to be me. Yeah. You know, I'm just going to do it. This is a wildly dangerous thing. I'll do it. So one of the other climbers started belaying him down. So he was able to rappel down. And for about the first 45 feet, he couldn't see Ian at all. And then finally, the cliffs got steep enough that he actually could see Ian down on the ground. And he saw that he was completely motionless. And he was still covered by a blanket of bees.
Oh my gosh.
They were swirling all around. And so he calls down to him. He's like, Ian. And at that point, actually, Ian looked up for a second. So he is not passed out anymore. And
I would want to be, though. All those bee stings.
Are you kidding me? I can't even imagine how scary. And what Doug remembers is that Ian had that look of someone who had just been blown up or shot. Right. And in combat. It's like, how could this thing happened to me? Right. It was like just pure disbelief. And he looked up for a second, and then he just put his head back down. Oh, I know, he's probably just barely making it. So Doug is making his way down, and the bees were all over Doug again, but now he's just completely numb to him. So they're still stinging him, but he's just like, I don't feel it. Who cares? I'm going to get my pal. Yeah. So he gets down to Ian, and he's like, I'm going to get you out of here. And Ian was just conscious enough to follow Doug's sort of simple directions. Okay. And so they were able to lower him down the 120 feet he needed to go to get to the ground. And at that point, an ambulance was just pulling up.
Oh.
Thank goodness. Doug watched as rangers and paramedics collected Ian, and then he lowered himself down as quickly as he could. But by the time he got down, Ian was already in a helicopter and heading out to a hospital.
Oh.
It was at that point that actually search and rescue arrived.
Oh, wow.
So
oh my gosh. Okay.
Doug has already saved his friend in the time that it took them to get there.
Dang, man.
I know the ambulance got there like way faster.
Interesting.
So Doug was like, nah, man, I'm not going to the hospital. The paramedics were like, you should probably go to the hospital.
Yeah.
I was like, no.
What?
No. I feel kind of faint, but he just felt like he wasn't going to die anytime soon. So he just headed to the parking lot. He ran into two other climbers who actually had wilderness first aid training. And so Doug stripped down to his boxers, and they realized like tweezers were not the best way to take all these stingers out, because if you go in with tweezers, it can sort of squeeze the venom sac that's at the end of the stinger and end up pumping more venom into.
Oh geez.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why you never want to, like, if you get a bee sting, you never want to squeeze it to like try to get the stinger out, because it's just going to squeeze all more that venom right into you. And so what they ended up doing is they used credit cards to scrape down his body, sort of sloughing off all the stingers.
Oh my gosh.
So that's the way to do it, I guess, is because then you just get them out without pumping more of that venom in. So at the hospital with dear Ian over here, the doctors estimated that he had been stung more than 1,000 times, and he had a high enough dose of bee venom to be lethal.
Of course.
So, but he had been lucky, and within a day or two, he was able to flush out all that venom out of his system.
Wow.
And then months later, after Doug returned from Afghanistan, they met for another planned climb and went out on Hueco Tanks State Park.
Just a different area.
So Ian tried to tell Doug how much he appreciated what he had done for him. And Doug was like, nah, man, there was just no way I wasn't going to try to help you.
Right.
It's just, that's what you do.
Aww.
And so he, both men survived, both men are still climbing, and both men are still ballers.
Oh my
gosh. As it turns out.
That's crazy. I could not stay calm. When bees start singing, like, I get nervous around bees just in general. I mean, I think they're really important, and like all
bees
for
are
the bees.
great.
Yeah.
What the fuck ever.
When they start stinging you, like with you, I know when you were starting to get stung with your bees, you just calmly like walked away and then walked inside your house and like disrobed and got in the shower. But me, I'd be like, holy shit.
Well, and that'll just make them sting you
even
more.
But this like panic is just. It's just scary. I don't know. You're getting hurt, so your adrenaline's like, stop the hurt. And I don't know. I could not stay calm.
We have some videos of us installing packages of bees. And so when you buy a package of bees, it has a few thousand bees inside of a box, along with a queen that they have not gotten to know yet.
Right.
And so when you put them all in, because they don't know the queen yet, they're not aggressive at all. So you can do it without gloves, you can do it without your bee suit, the whole thing. But I still got stung. Like, you can see me like like the video where I get stung, and it's just like, turns out they don't like black. And you should not wear tight clothes around them, because they can just sting you right through it. So if you're wearing loose, they can't sting you, because they'll just sort of sting your clothes and not actually sting into your skin.
Interesting.
So,
all right.
Yeah, well, and bees don't like dark for whatever reason.
That's interesting.
I had to stop wearing black, which is all I own, when we would go harvest honey or whatever.
Yeah, because I guess like colorful is like flowers, you know, but black is like
there's something, I don't know what it is, but man, they like to attack it. So I was always wearing black.
Right. I mean, I hear people die with like 10 bee stings, you know, so 1,000, that's insane. Of
killer bees, not even like normal bees either.
Right.
Ugh.
Man, well,
they must have been
so
like swollen and probably disfigured.
I mean, at least take a Benadryl. I mean, Doug, my gosh, like,
I'm gonna pop a Benadryl before I go rescue my friend.
Yeah, my goodness.
I took a lot of Benadryl. I think I got stung like 30 times or something like that, and that was enough for Joel to come home and
Yeah.
stay with me just to make sure I didn't have
Monitor,
some...
just
Yeah,
in case.
didn't die from that.
Oh, Michelle.
My goodness. I
these
know.
things
We should have
hurt.
had a honey drink. What were we
I know, right?
thinking?
I had no idea. I thought
Missed
this would be a rock
opportunity.
climbing.
I know. You're like, God damn it, another fucking rock climbing thing.
Wait, did you say this pertained to the drink or no? The story? No.
No, what did it pertain to?
You said it's kind of related to what?
Oh, no, I don't remember. We'll have to listen.
I know.
Go to the tape.
Yeah.
That's us rewinding it.
Yeah. If you know, you know. You know.
What
it
fucking
kinda,
did it pertain to?
I don't know. You said it just like the last one. It kind of. Okay.
Sorry, it's
well,
gone for me.
that's fair.
We're gonna have to. You're gonna have to, when you edit it, please just tell me.
I will. Yeah, I'll let you
You're like,
know.
Bitch, we're so dumb. It was this small thing.
Oh goodness. Well, wow. That was an amazing story, Michelle. Good job. I was not expecting that. I was waiting for a fall.
Yep. We were all ready for a fall.
I know.
The fact that he didn't fall is incredible to
Well,
me.
the fact that he just jumped. I
yeah,
mean, that's,
it's like, I gotta go down.
yeah. Dang. Oh my goodness.
Oh, well done, Doug and Ian.
Yeah. Way to...
Cappelle.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this
Bye.
episode. And we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.